Sparkman, and I am the Chief Curiosity Correspondent for the Space Foundation Discovery Center. And today on Space4U Live, we are talking with Deanna Alsindy, the Arabian Stargazer. Deanna, how are you doing today? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Ron. Thank you for having me.
And we're really, really glad to have you. There's so much to talk about with all the amazing things that you do. But let's start out with the one we start out with everybody on. What really got you inspired in space and science to begin with?
It was an article online about an engineer working at NASA. When I was in Iraq, I immigrated from Iraq, and I went to America, and I lived in California, as I'm currently living right now. I don't ever remember anyone asking me, what do you want to be from when you grow up? And I also didn't really watch Star Trek and Star Wars and all these movies that inspire kids. So when I was young, I actually didn't want to be an astronaut because I didn't know that existed. And I started being inspired of the space exploration when I came here. I was, I think, 15 when I read that article, and I said, wow, this seems cool. She's a woman, she's working at NASA, she gets to go to space, and just that's the moment where it sparked.
And what made you choose engineering of all the STEM fields? Was it that, or was it something that, like, once you really started diving in, that was the thing that was really clicking for you?
If you think really deeply in it, it's probably because of something I experienced as a child. I remember very vividly as a 10-year-old in our house in Baghdad, my grandfather used to have a welding machine in our backyard, and I used to watch him all the time, all these like metal plates. And that stuck in my mind for a reason. If I wasn't interested in engineering, this memory, just like any other memory that we forget about. But when I started picking why engineering, it was kind of an order, a choice of elimination. I said, I don't want to be a doctor because that's a lot of memorization. I am a horrible artist, so I'm not going to be an artist. I don't want to do law. And it boiled down to engineering because I loved math and I loved science, and I wasn't really good in both, but I thought that there's going to be a lot of fun that I can have in engineering, building with my hands.
Awesome. And so while you were in college, you were part of a really cool initiative called the Brooke Owens Fellowship. So can you tell us a little bit about how you found out about that and what that program involves?
Yeah. So when I was in my university, UCSD, University of California, San Diego, and my mentor in the rocket club called SEDS, Students for Exploration and Development of Space, he sent us a broad email and said, you should apply to this fellowship. It just launched. I was the first class of Brookies. And I was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. I probably should apply. It seems like you get executive mentorship, you get an internship, and you get to travel. And it seems interesting. It's just like any other internship, might as well apply. So I favorited that link, and I didn't check it until like months after. I filled the application. It was extremely fascinating how the application is designed. It really cared about me as a person, not just my transcripts and my grades. I applied and I got accepted as the first class of Rookies.
That's incredible. And what is the program exactly for those that haven't heard of it yet?
Yeah, so it is a program of its kind. It is for women who are passionate and are involved in aerospace careers. So if you're a journalist who is passionate about space, you can apply. If you're a woman who is studying, the environment in space, you can also apply. And the application itself asks you for quite few things. You need to apply for your transcripts, obviously, recommendation letters, you have to write an essay, you have to submit a creative piece, and all of these kind of builds a personality as somebody who is applying to this fellowship to the founders, who actually review the process and the application and then select the fellows. And then when you do get accepted, there's multiple steps that you have to go through. When you do get accepted, you start an internship with a certain company that they match you with. So in the application, you put your top 10 companies that you want to be part of. For example, I wanted to have Virgin Orbit, SpaceX, Blue Origin, and I was matched with Virgin Orbit. So when I do that, when I get matched, I go to the internship just like any other intern. It's usually 8 to 12 weeks. and you get matched with an executive mentorship, a mentor. So it could be either an astronaut, a CEO, oh my God, any kind of cool person you know of who's in the space industry. And once that happens, you get to talk to them throughout your internship, and you get to go to DC as well for 4 days. And there's a competitions, and you meet all the Brooke Owens fellows. It's an awesome fellowship for sure.
And so you mentioned that you were matched with Virgin Orbit. What was it about Virgin Orbit that really excited you, that made you say, okay, this is a place I really want to work?
Will Pomerantz, who's the founder of the fellowship, talked so highly of Virgin Orbit because he's the VP there, obviously. But I also was keeping up with their Launcher One program and the technology of launching from a Boeing 747, which seems really cool. Not a lot of companies are doing that. And also, it's very different from my previous internships. I was at Northrop Grumman, at JPL, a small startup in San Diego. But Virgin Orbit seems like they had an awesome business model that's built on the same way that Virgin usually builds its business model with Richard Branson. And also, it's a lot of hands-on experience. I talked to a few engineers there, and that's what they told me. So, and that was what really I experienced when I went to Virgin Orbit. I was working on actuators and engines and stages and things that I wasn't even capable of thinking I can do as an intern.
And that's a really cool thing about some of these more forward-thinking companies that are out there now. It's a really exciting place. I got to come and see it actually like a week ago last year. And, you know,
really?
Yeah. So it's like right a year ago. Yeah.
I remember on Snapchat, it showed me the memories, and one of them was me and you in the lobby. It was a year ago.
Yeah, and it really is. It's a wonderful place just to be able to go through there, and you can tell that it's got just a really great atmosphere to it, and I loved it. I thought it was amazing. So, can you tell us a little bit about just what your day-to-day job is at the company?
Yeah, so I'm a propulsion development engineer, and by that, there's so many different types of propulsion engineers there is. I specifically work on stage systems, so that is the entire rocket, but the engines. We have engine REs, responsible engineers. So I'm a responsible engineer on both stage 1 and stage 2, and that encompasses everything you can think of to design a stage or a rocket that is successful and it's working. So I do analysis, I do design on our components and our tubing. I ensure that the tanks are built to the way they're supposed to be built. It's a lot of nitty-gritty rocket science that we have to do on a daily basis.
And there's a kind of a cool initiative that I know that's going on there right now. And I know it's not something that you've been a part of, but I think it's been really exciting that a lot of people have seen, is that Virgin Orbit has been trying to help during this like really tough time. So can you tell us just a little bit about that, what you know, and share that with everyone? Because it's a really, really cool thing. It really is.
Yeah, so we actually started the company, started working on this project when majority of us is stuck at home. So all these engineers are 3D printing and designing and going to CDRs and PDRs with the state from their home. So imagine how cool engineering can be. The project itself, I am not a part of, unfortunately, but one of my close friends at work who works in additive manufacturing is utilizing his skill sets of 3D printing, because we 3D print a huge section of our components in the rocket, and utilizing that technology and capability to design a ventilator that is cheap and functional, and we can mass produce them. So they're doing face shields, ventilators. I don't know if they're doing masks, but a lot of these components that are really needed in hospitals and medical providers.
It's so cool to see the space community get behind doing what they do best, innovating and helping the world. And I'm glad to see that it's allowing more and more people to see that. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have heard of Virgin, but maybe Virgin Galactic, Virgin Orbit, these other organizations within the company might not be, the first thing that comes to mind. And I think this is a really cool way to just, get out there and show what's possible and show what people in the space industry are willing to do. I think it's amazing.
If engineers and scientists don't provide their skill sets in a time like this, I don't know when we would. And I truly respect Virgin Orbit and basically Richard Branson, who was super supportive of this idea to help the hospitals and people in need. And I hope we continue doing that.
Same. It's a great initiative, and I'm glad that you all are doing it. So, let's jump into what most people will know you for, and that's the platform that you created right around a year and a half ago, right? It's been somewhere around there, I think.
Yes.
And it's the Arabian Stargazer. So, you went from from 0 to 100 in like 6 seconds. All of a sudden, everybody knew who you were from this. So, can you tell us a little bit about the platform and what inspired you to start it?
It took more than 6 seconds and it's plateauing now because that's what happens with social media platforms, as you know. There's a beauty of creating social media platforms because you can reach so many people in a very short period of time. It's a niche business. So in 2018, in October of 2018, I created this page called the Arabian Stargazer, and it was basically a way for me to see if the Middle East is interested in space exploration and STEM specifically. There's a lot of trial and error that happened in between. I wanted to sponsor students that come to America, and I provide them an experience just like the Brooke Owens Fellowship provided me, but that was a little bit complicated. And then I thought about creating space camps that I can create in the Middle East as well. And I said, what if people are not really interested in space? It will be just like an empty camp that I wasted time and money on. So I created a free social media platform. And I wanted to attract young kids or young students from the Arab world who speak Arabic. To a way to motivate them to be part of STEM careers, to socialize and network through each other in the page. So now when I post a video, people are answering each other's in Arabic, really complicated sciencey questions. And sometimes I don't even have to answer because they answered each other. So that opportunity I wanted to provide for them. I noticed that there is a missing gap, a huge gap, on social media and the internet, that we don't talk about space in Arabic at all. If you just recently, I posted a video, why do satellites not fall back from the sky? If you Google that word in English or that sentence in English on YouTube, you'll get so many thousands of videos of people explaining that for all ages, young, old, with graphics, with scripts. But in Arabic, we don't have that. So how do you expect kids or students to be part of these careers and develop space exploration fields if you don't really explain them and provide resources for them? So the whole motivation was to make people passionate about these subjects. And shortly after less than a year, my page hit 100,000 followers with all different ages, all different kinds of people from all over the world. And they were thirsty for this type of content. And now I'm growing it a little bit more. I'm trying to collaborate with bigger organizations where we can create videos together in Arabic. It's a little bit difficult to do that with, like right now we're speaking English, and it's difficult to find somebody like you who speaks Arabic who would be willing to do a live show like this. So this page opened up opportunity for me to meet these people who are passionate about the same mission, and we can inspire these children to be part of space and STEM careers.
So have you seen anybody yet that you've inspired that has started to create their own platform and kind of get out there? Because I mean, you reach a lot of people on your posts, so I'm sure there's got to be a few so far.
Oh, actually, I get DMs all the time from people who created their own platforms. There is a female who's studying neuroscience in Canada, and I think she was born in Canada, but she speaks Arabic. And she's like, you inspired me to create a page like this. And she did, and it's a bilanguage science communication, and it's beautiful. I have people from Iraq actually creating pages about sustainability and how they can stay green in Iraq, as famous and popular as they are in the Western countries. So there's a lot of people who want to do the same thing.
So what's been the coolest moment for you so far since you've created this platform?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh my God, there's so many good moments. There's a few. When I was in Dubai for Women in Science, a women's space conference, part of the Dubai Air Show, I remember a young female. She came to me with, like, I'm not exaggerating, but with almost tears in her eye, saying how inspired she is after she listened to my panel, and how she is so proud that there's another Arab female who is doing this and reaching a broad community and providing that type of view or outlook. Um, and that was just such a surreal moment for me. Number one, how does this person know me? I'm like on the other side of the world. And number two, how did they even find me in this in the Dubai Air Show? And it was so awesome. I had another inspiring moment by a follower who followed me back in 2018, and it was the beginning, like probably had 1,000 followers. And she messaged me. She was like, "Hey, how do I apply to internships and universities and whatever?" And a year after, she messaged me saying, "Hi, I just want to let you know I'm messaging you from my dorms in Stanford. Thank you for all you did. You inspired me so much. I can't even explain how how you helped me get to this moment." And to me, I was stopping. Obviously, it was so sweet, and I didn't even realize that with a few, the what is it called, the scholarships that I post online could actually help somebody out there and change their entire life.
And it's kind of those are big shoes to fill, even when they're your own. When you create something and you're able to see that, and that's really incredible. And if I remember correctly, I think that the panel that you were on in Dubai was with our COO, Shelley Brunswick, right, from Space Foundation.
Yes.
So that's kind
Yes.
of a small world, even with
It's so
space and
small.
aerospace.
She was wearing an awesome suit, and we had an awesome conversation afterward. She was so supportive, and she told me, whenever you come to Colorado Springs, I want to show you around and we should work together. And it was just so awesome to see another strong female on the panel.
If you say Shelley and strong suit in the same sentence, you're probably talking about our Shelley. So that sounds
Yes.
about right. She's great. We were actually like right before all this craziness happened, we were at Aerospace Day, and she did a really awesome talk at the Governor's Mansion where she was kind of talking about just what the organization is doing, like what Space Foundation is doing, what the industry is doing, and she's always fun to watch. That's for sure.
Yes.
So you've been working on some other things. I know that you just launched your website or relaunched your website. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So Instagram is not really friendly sometimes. It's really hard to post links and keep them in the caption. A lot of the content that I provide, it's resources for other people to go reference later on. So, for example, what are some websites that provide can apply to these universities? It's hard to post it on a caption. So I created a website that could have a section for blog posts or for resources like this. So right now it's only in English. It's not in Arabic. I plan to have an Arabic version of it. So it's a bilingual website. And I provided, this is my bio. These are the services that I provide, some resources and some ways we can collaborate together. It's a little bit, I didn't relaunch it. It's the same website, but I do plan to add a blog to it as well.
And what makes you, you very carefully pick the topics that you talk about on your platform, and they are very engaging. I think that's one of the reasons that you grew so quickly is because of that. So what is it that goes into that? And sometimes they're fun things. Sometimes it's just, I got this new Lego kit, and I'm going to watch me do a video of it. And then sometimes you get really deep into space and science stuff, but it's always something that's really engaging. So what kind of informs those ideas? How do you choose what you think will be the best thing to put out on your platform?
Well, when I launched my platform in 2018, I kind of made a vow to myself not to make it a space news kind of platform, because if somebody wants to go and read what's the latest news in space, they can go to millions of articles that are much more professional than me. So I wanted the page to be multidisciplinary in space specifically. And by that I mean, what would I be interested in as a young Arab who is interested in space? Would it be talking about rocketry through Lego? Would it be talking about just common questions that we have through cartoonish graphics? Or would it be just a very detailed research that I'm doing on a certain topic? The page itself is not like an astrophysics, let's get deep in quantum mechanics kind of page, but it is to grow yourself as an engineer or a scientist, and what kind of things that you should be looking out for, and how could you be interested in. And I see the stats of my page. Majority of them are people less than 20-year-olds, and majority of them their main language, their native language is Arabic. So the knowledge level is very different between English speakers and Arabic speakers. I'm not going to go deep into the rocket equation and how it was proven in the derivation. I can, but I don't think that's going to do, that's not going to really help whoever is my audience in the page. So I get like I'm in the shower and I get inspired to do a certain thing. Sometimes I don't get inspired at all and I don't post. And I allow myself to have this freedom of not sticking to a schedule, because when I do stick to a schedule and I'm not inspired and I have to post on a Friday night, then I might post something that's not, it's not quality work, and I don't want to do that. Nobody have a gun onto my head and say, you have to post right now. So I post whenever I feel inspired.
That must be nice, because that's not an option that I generally have. Like, I post on 7 different pages 2 times a day minimum. So yeah, that's some cool freedom. But again, you're reaching out to a very specific audience, and it's one of the reasons that people are so engaged with what it is you do. And you mentioned earlier a couple of different other ideas that you have, like space camps and stuff. So do you see a future for the Arabian Stargazer that is much bigger than this? Like, do you still want to do space camps? I know we've talked about that before, and I know that there's some other things, like just like me, there's always just some like big, huge idea brewing. I'm like, can I do this thing? I don't know. So is there something like that coming?
If I want to do that right now, I can drop everything that I'm doing with my job and I can go build a space camp. But I don't want to do that because I love my job as a propulsion engineer, and I think it goes hand in hand with my with the Arabian Stargazer. But when the right door opens up and when the opportunity comes, you know that you're ready to do it. And I do see myself opening space camps all around the Middle East for space, because what mainly made me so passionate and so interested in engineering is the hands-on experience that I had as a college student. Because if you go to a physics class or an engineering class or a thermal class and that's it through your entire career, you will not be passionate about engineering unless you're like some weird nerd. But the building in your hands and going to these internships and going to these social events and participating in rocketry clubs and learning these skill sets that you don't learn in class, that's what makes you extremely passionate about STEM specifically. So I want to provide the same exact whatever opportunity or experience I had to the people in the Middle East, because I know our curriculum there does not provide that. It is very theory based because the opportunities are just not, it's not there, it's not available. And I know there are so many people who would be so passionate about participating in clubs like these or in camps like that, like teaching CADing and thermal analysis and networking and how to do a proper scientific presentation. It will be all part of that camp.
That's really, really exciting. And so you're working on not just that, but I know that you were planning on being at a couple of different conferences this year, and some people were reaching out to you. So is there anything that's that's planned for the future now that has been that's been rescheduled that maybe might be this fall that you're really excited that you're going to be a part of?
I don't know if it will be this fall, maybe next year. I was supposed to be in Saudi Arabia for PyCon, and it's solely a science communication conference, and specifically for space. So I was looking forward for that. I was going to Detroit in the USA for the American Foundation, something American Foundation. It's a long name, but I was gonna meet 1,000 students and talk to them about space, all different ages and all different experiences. And these kids were actually immigrants from the Middle East. So they probably will be very excited to talk to somebody who also was in their shoes, who also immigrated, who's also a refugee and came from the Middle East, who speaks Arabic. So those are two really exciting events that I was looking forward to. There was another one, I did not announce this yet, but it was an IAF, a conference, I think they call GLEX conference in Russia, and that was going to happen in 2 months, and now it's rescheduled. So it's okay. This is good for everybody. We're trying to stay safe and stay home, but there are 3 or 4 main conferences that I was going to attend this year, and it's probably not going to happen until the foreseeable future.
Well, I mean, just keep us up to date, and we'll definitely, share that whenever you're out there, sharing what you do with the world. And so I do have a question for you. This is from Zoe and her dad, Jeff Gagne, and they ask for a girl who's 8 today in 3rd grade and loves space and science. If she were to become an engineer, what projects do you think she would be working on 20 years from now when she's your age?
Ooh, that's a great question. She would probably be building the next generation of landers that goes to Mars. Or she would be working on the colonization that is going to happen on Mars, and that is from building greenhouses or building the next generation landers or the rocket itself that's going to go there. 20 years from now in the space industry is probably going to be crazy, and it will be awesome. It's going to be more awesome than how it is right now, but
Yeah.
definitely Mars related.
Definitely Mars related. Well, I like Mars related. Obviously, it's one of my favorite things. So that kind of jumps into another question I had. So there's a lot happening right now where we're getting ready to see humans go back to space again from U.S. We have a couple of different new rovers, one including one from the UAE, the Hope mission that's going to go to Mars. So what's the mission right now that you're most excited about? That's maybe a little bit postponed, but it's in the very near future.
Yes, the one that you mentioned from the UAE, I think that was it's one of the ones that I'm really excited for, because it is they're trying to be on the same level as everybody else in the space industry, and it's really exciting to see that somebody who kind of started out much later than Russia or Japan or the USA in the space race, for somebody to try to catch up to the other countries, and they are. I think that's going to be very inspiring. And if we can send rockets and landers that were solely built by Arab students, that will inspire so many other people in the Middle East. And they would say, oh, we did that. Like, this is normal. Just like how I feel about my job. I don't think my job is that cool, but to the average person, it probably is. I'm just so used to it because I've been doing this for so many years. But to the average person, it's like, no, you're working on rockets. Like, you're a rocket scientist. And I'm an engineer. I did not reinvent the rocket equation, so I'm not really a rocket scientist. But it's so exciting to see the country setting examples for the younger generation. And I think there's awesome things that they're doing.
So, and this is kind of something that I think would be a little bit more of a personal question. What do you see for the future of the Arabic-speaking countries in space? Like, what's the vision that you hope for with what you're working on, what this mission's getting ready to do? Kind of what's your dream for where everything moves forward from here?
I think if there are more people like me with more time and more money, if more of those people go and invest their time to open space camps, open up organizations like Space Foundation, for example. If we do that, then our students are going to be, I'm calling them students because I think of them as students, but if these people are trained the way that I'm trained or the way that engineers and scientists are trained here, other companies and businesses will want to come to the country and invest. And when that happens, your economy flourishes. Really good things can happen. So I hope whoever's watching this, if they speak Arabic or not even speak Arabic, if they're passionate about opening up space for everyone and having the Middle East flourish in science and STEM, then you should go and do something about it, or talk to me and maybe we can collaborate some way. The more people go and teach these students, because education is key, it's the weapon for everything. If you have really educated people, then you will build a community filled with, I don't know what's the right word, but it's going to be really awesome. So I believe more people are coming to that conclusion. I'm meeting a lot of people who want to invest in the Middle East from the science sector.
And that's a great thing to hear. And I know that obviously you have a lot of people out there that you inspire. So what are your words of wisdom, any words of advice that you have for the people that, obviously are fans of yours and want to follow in your footsteps?
Don't be afraid to start. The rocket clubs that I was a part of that started up my career in space was started by one single person. And they ended up having their own company, and the club has been open for 4 or 5 years. If you have an idea, start it. Even if it's not perfect, even if you don't have the business model, even if you don't know how to start it, just start. Because when you do that, when you try, at least, the universe starts attracting good things your way. Not because spiritually, but because your mind, your body is going to be reaching for the right things. You'll be talking to people who are doing the same thing, and more people will come and join your mission. So if you have a mission and a vision, speak about it. Speak about it publicly. I've been talking about inspiring the Middle East and opening space camps since like 5 years ago. And it's happened because I keep talking about it. Who knows? Maybe there's somebody with big bucks who wants to help me when I'm mentioning it like casually. So I think if you have a mission and a vision, say it and try it.
Love it. And so where can people find you on the internet? And I'm going to like drop the scroll again here at the bottom so that way everybody can see it. But let everybody know where they can find you and contact you, talk to you about all the stuff that you're up to.
Yeah, so if you go to my website, thearabianstargazer.com, there's a contact me button. Click on that. It sends an email for me. If you don't want to go through the website, you can go to thearabianstargazer@gmail.com. And if you want to see what I'm doing, the platform that I always maintain is the Arabian Stargazer on Instagram. I get a lot of people wanting me to go on YouTube. I post longer videos on YouTube, but it's not a platform that I maintain. So don't be afraid to send me a message. Tell me if you have a question. I would be happily, I'll try to be responsive in a timely manner.
You only get a few messages every day, right?
Oh, yeah.
Look, Deanna, thanks you so much for coming on today. We really greatly appreciate you taking the time. I know that you're busy. This is actually one of the first versions that we've done this is pre-recorded, but we were so excited to talk to you that it was definitely worth hopping on this evening and talking with you about everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And for everyone listening, this is just a few of the amazing things that Deanna's up to. Please go check out her website. All the stuff that we were talking about just a little bit earlier. She's definitely doing some incredible things. And that's going to conclude this episode of the live edition, sort of Space Foundation's Space4U podcast. Keep your eyes and ears open for more Space4U episodes by checking out our social media outlets on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And of course, our website, www.spacefoundation.org. And also make sure to check out all the cool stuff that we're doing with Auxilia, which is our big education outreach program that we're doing right now on discoverspace.org. And on all those outlets and more, it is our goal to inspire, educate, connect, and advocate for the space community, because at the Space Foundation, we will always have space for you. Thank you so much for listening.
Oh.